Every day in the USA, people find themselves in court.
Mr. Robertson? Sir, have a seat with your attorney, Mr. West. Thank you. We now call cause number 22-40099, the state of Texas versus Todd Robertson. That's you, sir?
Yes, sir.
And you were here with Mr. West, your attorney, and the state's attorney was here. In this case, this is involving a motion to revoke unadjudicated probation. And does the defendant waive a formal reading of this motion? Can we proceed in sum?
Yes, Your Honor, please.
And sir, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any statements you make during this hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Lower your hand. You said yes? Good. This motion to revoke unadjudicated probation filed July 29th of 2024 states that on October 17th, 2023, that in this court, you were placed on 10 years deferred or unadjudicated probation for forgery, a state jail felony of forgery of a financial instrument. Is that true? Yeah, speak out. So, okay. Allegation one, the only allegation here states that you committed the offense of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon on or about February 24th, 4th, 2024 in Jefferson County, Texas. You did then and there intentionally or knowingly threaten Jamal Connor with imminent bodily injury and did then and there use or exhibit a deadly weapon, namely a firearm, during the commission of the assault, which is aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, a violation of condition 1 of your deferred adjudication order. Is that true or untrue? Untrue. Untrue is entered into the record on your behalf. Okay, go ahead, State.
And Judge, I just want to make sure we're clear on another thing too. Where in the motion where it says a state jail felony, I thought we had cleared this up, but that's not a state jail felony. It was a 3rd-degree felony. That's the only way he could be sentenced to 10 years.
Okay.
It's a state jail felony, but in the plea, and I looked at
No, it's a state jail felony. Could be punished by prior convictions.
the prior convictions were pled true to in the judgment. I looked at the original judgment, and so it makes it.
Yep, that's what happened.
Yeah.
They were in sequence.
Yeah.
So I remember this. It was had to be corrected.
It's a state jail felony punished as though it were and the order on the deferred order states the enhancement paragraphs 1 and 2 were found true. And they reflect felony convictions in sequence. So it's a state jail felony. Now we can put in the motion to revoke probation if you wish, punish with enhanced 2nd-degree felony punishment.
Okay, so it's a habitual state jail.
Yes, it's a state jail punished as though it were a 2nd-degree felony.
Okay, just making sure we're all on the same page.
Do you want to insert that in the motion or not?
No, sir. I don't think it's necessary.
It's okay. And is there any objection? Does everybody agree that's what the records reflect?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything I need to object to, Your Honor, but I do agree that's where we stand.
Okay. That he's subjected to up to 20 years in prison.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because of the virus. Okay, go ahead.
We'll call Dorian Pentine.
Raise your right hand, sir. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Please have a seat. Thank you.
Go ahead. Tell us your name, sir.
Next Dorian and Valiant.
And where you work?
Currently employed for the Montgomery Police Department.
Okay. How long you been working there?
Been working there since last year, July.
Okay. And before that, where'd you work?
Prior to that, I was employed with the Beaumont Police Department from January 2016 until July 2024.
Okay. I think you've got family that worked for BPD too, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So back in February of 2024, how were you employed with Beaumont Police Department?
I was in the patrol division as a patrol officer.
Okay. And do you recall being dispatched to a location specifically on February 24th, 2024, over in the area of West Avenue and Ives Street?
Yes, sir.
And did what was the nature of that dispatch?
I believe the nature was a shots fired call.
Okay, so you and I think another officer responded to that scene, right?
Yes.
By the name of Dakota Gaines.
Yes, sir.
When you responded to that scene, it was your understanding, or was it your understanding that there had been shots fired in some capacity in some sort of dispute?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did I ask you to review your body-worn camera before you came and testified today, just to refresh your memory?
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 1 there that I'm showing you, is that a copy of your body-worn camera from this incident response or this arrival to this scene?
Yes, sir.
Is it fairly and accurately depict everything or the things that you saw and heard at the scene directly in front of you?
Yes, sir. It does.
Does it? There's two files in this State's Exhibit 1, right?
Yes.
One file represents, or does one file represent the first part of your interaction at where you encountered the victim?
Yes, sir. It does.
And the second part of that file, does that represent the second action that you took, essentially, which was go to the scene where the victim described the shooting had occurred?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But those two files in State's Exhibit 1, do they fairly accurately depict what you saw and heard in this case and in this response?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll offer State's 1.
We object to this document in the sense that there's hearsay on this recording. I do not believe the people that were on this video are here to testify, so therefore it'd be hearsay, and we would not have a chance to cross-examine those individuals on what they say out there. And these are not. It's basically hearsay and inadmissible.
If he is referring to any statements by the witness Shelby Pryor, we agree to mute those or redact those. Either way, I think the court is well versed in understanding that that's hearsay and shouldn't be considered for its truth.
Okay.
Beyond that, there is the only other witnesses here are on this video and are going to be testifying regardless. Okay.
So whichever witnesses are not here, that I would argue anything they say on the video.
He says just one is, I guess.
There's only one female on the video that is not a police officer, and it'll be very apparent which one we're referring to. But she is not here. She is not going to be testifying, and I do agree that her statements are hearsay. Okay.
Yeah, and like since it's not a jury, I would rely on the court to make the determination.
Okay. Well, your objection for hearsay is sustained, but the state says there. If you need to make an objection, as happens, the court will rule upon it and will not consider objectionable matter.
Exactly. All right. Thank you.
Maybe publish judge.
Yes.
Officer Ty, is this the initial scene that you went to?
Yes, sir. Yes.
And is that the victim that you encountered there?
Yes, that's correct.
Let me show you, just so we can kind of have a little bit of understanding of you're trying to figure out where this happened, right?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And one of the things I think you do here in just a second is you pull out your Google Maps to kind of go back and forth with him to figure out where he came from, right?
Yes, sir.
Because right here where he was located when you responded, that's not where the shooting happened.
No, sir. That's not right.
Okay, so if I show you State's Exhibit 3 here, is that an overhead Google map of kind of the general area that you and Mr. Connor are talking about?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And was Exhibit 3, is that a fair and accurate depiction of the streets in that general area?
Yes, it is.
We'll offer 3.
No objection, Your Honor.
Without objections, State's Exhibit 3 is admitted.
So looking at States 3 here, also this you're talking about something that occurred on West Avenue, right?
Right.
Is this right here? Is this West Avenue?
Yes, that is.
Okay, so you're asking him how did he get on West Avenue, and he says from Light Street, right?
Right.
So he's describing this street right here. Is that right?
Yes.
You asked him, well, how did you come in that way? Did you come from Magnolia or from the other way? And he said Magnolia, didn't he?
Yes.
So it's what he described to you driving from Magnolia on a light West Avenue.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
What he described to you was that coming from Magnolia onto Light and then going down West Avenue on at least down on State Exhibit 3 here.
Yes, that's correct. I believe he said he made a left-hand turn onto like, no, I'm sorry, onto west from like.
And ultimately, this house that he was describing, did you find this house?
Yes, we did.
And did you eventually encounter the defendant, Todd Robertson there?
Yes. Well, not initially when we arrived, but
He came back.
he didn't come back to the residence at some point when we did. Well, I did and come in contact with him.
Okay, and is this right here, this little speck, is that house we're talking about?
Yes, I believe that is the residence.
All right, just so we kind of have an understanding a little bit. All right, so after you kind of take some of the information you need from this initial scene, is your plan to go to this next scene and try and locate this house and locate this other person involved in this shooting?
Yes, that's correct.
The Jamal Connors is the complainant or the victim that you initially encountered, right?
Yes.
He was a little bit kind of, I guess, frazzled or all over the place as far as giving you a description of what happened initially, wasn't he?
Yes, sir.
But did you see physical signs or physical evidence of him being shot at on his vehicle?
Oh, yes, there were, I believe, 2 to 3 bullet holes on his vehicle.
Okay. And so before you left this scene, did you and the other officer, photograph those bullet holes in his vehicle before leaving and going to the next location?
Yes, we did document that with some of our city phones.
I think there's probably some dead periods in this video in Exhibit 1 where you're in your patrol vehicle trying to get information.
Yes, sir, it is.
If it's all right with you, I'm gonna fast forward through some of these. All right.
Yes, that's all.
Just to clarify, you only know the person that was involved in this shooting as Todd, right? At this point.
That's correct.
So did you also request dispatch give information about any prior calls to that address that you're about to go to see if you could find out who lived there or who owned that place, and if they had a phone number that you could contact them?
Yes, dispatch is able to go and look at previous calls.
Okay.
Certain address.
And had there been some calls, and was there a number on file that eventually, I think Sergeant Tolley was able to connect with Tom Robertson?
I believe so. One of us was able to gather some information, which helped us out. Okay. On scene.
Where I think you're calling Sergeant Tolley, another one of the officers at Beaumont Police Department.
Yes, that's great.
You give him a rundown of everything you've developed so far, and kind of he ends up meeting you at this next location.
Yes, correct.
Before we go farther, I want to show you State's Exhibits 4, 5, and 6. You recognize what those are?
Yes, those are photographs of the victim's vehicle.
Okay, so States 4, 5, and 6, are those fair and accurate depictions of the bullet holes observed in Jamal Connor's vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. And that's the same vehicle that we saw on the video in States Exhibit 1?
Yes, correct.
We'll offer States 4, 5, and 6.
No objection, Your Honor.
Admitted.
I do.
Looking at States 5, is that kind of a wider view of the 3 bullet holes that were observed?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so we have one countdown here, two in the window, right?
Correct.
And then one up here in the window.
Yes.
Okay. And just based on kind of the angle of that right there, it doesn't appear. So maybe that wasn't like a perpendicular, like he might have been shooting at an angle.
You don't hear so.
Looking at State Exhibit 6, is that just the Suburban from the back?
Yes, correct.
There were no bullet holes in the back side of that vehicle.
No.
So all three bullet holes were on the left side or the driver's side of that Suburban.
Correct.
And State Exhibit 4, is that just a photograph from the interior of the window bullet hole?
Yes.
Okay, and we see the shattered glass here on the bottom end, and then up here we see the actual entry point at the top of 6-1. So
Yes.
okay. Okay, so we are at the 22:45 mark of the first video file in State Exhibit 1. Is that when you arrived at the location where you believe, based on what the victim described, that this shooting occurred?
Yes, sir.
Did you and the other officer kind of park far away so that you could kind of have a semi-perimeter of this location?
That's correct.
So why aren't y'all approaching the house now and making contact with anybody if there's anybody in there? What are y'all waiting on?
I think I'm discussing to Sergeant Tyler kind of, what I learned. I believe we're just holding what we have for now until we can make a decision what we're going to actually do.
Okay. And are you also waiting to see if dispatch is able to locate a phone number for either the owner or the resident of that house still?
Yes, I believe we're waiting on additional information from dispatch at the same time also.
At some point, either in this first file or the second one, does Sergeant Tolley kind of give the go ahead for y'all to go ahead and approach the house and try and make contact with anybody inside?
Yes, we eventually approached her.
Now, when y'all did that, was there anybody inside?
We did not get a response.
Okay. You had information from Jamal at the first scene that this Todd person drove away in a vehicle, right?
Correct.
Did you have a description of what kind of vehicle that was?
Yes, I believe the description we were given was a silver or gray colored Toyota
Okay.
SUV, and I believe we were able to determine that it would be a Ford.
Okay. And later, when Todd Robertson did call from one of these numbers that dispatch provided and came back to the house, did he show up in a vehicle that kind of matched that description?
Yes, the description that we were provided prior to that, it matched the description of the vehicle that he arrived.
And when we talk about Todd Robinson, you see him in the courtroom here today?
Yes, sir.
Could you identify him by an article of clothing that he's wearing and point to him?
Yes, sir. Somebody wearing orange jumpsuit.
Will the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant?
Yes, I will.
What do you think my best order of business is trying to secure any evidence?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I'll start here. Look at that one.
That's check basis. Here.
So as you approach this house, what did you see on the ground there?
Shell cases. With a handgun.
And those casings show you States Exhibits 7 through 13 are those photographs that the other officer took of that driveway and that scene and of those shell casings where they were found.
Yeah.
Do these States Exhibits 7 through 13, do they fairly accurately depict the exterior of that house and the locations where those shell casings were found?
Yes, they do.
We will offer States Exhibits 7 through 13. No objection.
Admitted.
And States 14. Is that a photograph that looks like it was taken back up at the station of the shell casings that were collected at that scene?
Yes.
Is this a fair and accurate depiction of those items of evidence that were collected?
Yes, it is.
And those items of evidence, let me show you States Exhibit 2. Did you and the other officer, did y'all actually collect these items of evidence at that scene?
I believe so. Can I refer to my report to see if I documented that?
If it will refresh your memory. We'll go ahead and offer 14 since we've proven that up. Objection.
It's admitted.
So my report, I see I did document that I did observe the shell casings, the spent shell casings located in this driveway. It's not documented in my report if I was the one who collected. I know that crime scene tech was out. Notified at some point.
We'll be able to see on the video, I guess, what happens. But just looking at you're the other officer. Were you a field training officer?
Yes. At the time I was not training anyone.
Okay. That's what I was this your trainee or was he another officer?
No, sir. This I believe secondary officer that arrived on scene.
Would it refresh your memory if you were able to look at that part of his report right there?
Okay, his report it reads the spent shell cases.
And on this video, I assume that here in a little bit, we'll see that you and him kind of doing that together or you nearby.
Yes, sir.
And that being said, I asked you to look at the contents of States Exhibit 2 before you came into court today, didn't I?
Yes, sir.
And these appear to be 3 shell casings marked as evidence with BPV tape.
Yes.
And does it match the case number that was generated when you responded to this incident initially?
Yes, it does match.
Okay, and what's that BPD case number?
It is 2024-003665.
Okay. And these items of evidence contained within States Exhibit 2, they're listed as collected by the ID technician that went to that scene.
Yes.
If she took possession of them from the other officer, would she still have listed her as the one who logged them into evidence and collected them?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so that the casings that are inside States Exhibit 2, do those appear to be the casings that were found at the scene of the shooting?
Yes.
In 2024.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll offer States 2.
Objection.
It's admitted.
I took care of it. Right. Okay, so we're still on that first file at the 29-minute, 18-second mark. And it looks like y'all are approaching this house for the first time, right?
Yes.
Did your body camera reactivate whenever Todd Robertson showed up to the scene?
I believe I may have turned it off at some point.
Okay.
Once the initial part of the investigation was complete and before he returned, I believe I activated the camera again.
Do you know exactly how long or roughly how long y'all waited for him to show that?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Long enough for you to turn your camera off and then back on whenever he showed up?
Yes, whatever that time frame may be.
Yeah. So why are you taking these precautions here?
Just due to the nature of the call.
And he said he didn't have a firearm when he talked to Sergeant Tolley, but you don't know whether that's true or not, do you?
No, we don't. We take the necessary precautions to keep everyone safe.
So when is that Todd Robertson off to the right over there in those shorts?
Yes, it is.
And he had a female passenger with him, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did you identify who this passenger was?
Driving person on board.
If it'll refresh your memory.
Yes, I did. She was identified as Black female, I believe it's pronounced Shelby Pryor.
And that vehicle right there, that Toyota 4Runner, is that the vehicle that Jamal described to you as what Todd Robinson drove off from the shooting in?
Yes, he described this vehicle to me. I also believe it was in our dispatch notes for the initial call.
Okay. After this, now, first of all, I noticed that when we go here in a second, Mr. Robertson, he's in handcuffs, right?
Yes.
Now, at the end of this encounter, was Todd Robertson arrested?
No, sir.
So he was allowed to leave.
Yes.
And when y'all put him in handcuffs initially, what was the purpose of that to aid an officer's safety?
Yes. Also said.
And was that given the nature of what the complaint was and what had alleged to have been happened at that scene?
That's great.
Now, did you explain to Todd Robertson that he's just being detained, that he's not being arrested at this time, that he's free to leave, and that he is just being detained until you can figure out what's going on?
I don't recall. I explained that to you.
Or one of the officers at the scene. And so we go back to this camera view, and it shows Todd Robertson in that car. Is that the first opportunity that anyone has had to speak with him and give him an opportunity to explain what happened?
Yes, I walked over and Officer Gaines was already speaking to him. The nature of that conversation, I'm not sure, and I can't testify to that. But I did go and introduce myself to him, and I did speak with him about what occurred.
Okay. So the way Todd Robertson describes that is that he got in an argument with Jamal, right?
Yes,
And they were supposed to fight, and then Jamal left.
that's correct.
Okay. So let me make sure I understand this. When you initially spoke to Todd Robertson, did he more or less appear to corroborate most of the things that Jamal had told you?
In a sense, there were some things that were similar that did match, and then there were things that did not match what was told to us from the victim as well.
Like, what is there something specific you can think of offhand that didn't match or that was inconsistent from what you had heard from the victim and then heard from Todd Robertson?
The victim stated that he was driving down that street and was flagged down by a female that was at the residence. And then we get here and he's saying that the victim showed up there to fight someone. So that was inconsistent as far as the statements go. And then of course, the main thing is he mentioned that he did not fire a weapon, but we have shell casings and we have evidence that the victim's vehicle was struck by gunfire as well. So those didn't match.
So,
But the description of the vehicle matched. So we did have that to go on.
and I guess the name of the person that shot that
Yes,
was who ended up coming back, right? So, just to make sure I understand, it sounds like the victim and Todd Robertson did not give the exact same version of events of how the victim got to that location.
no, they didn't.
Okay. And then the victim said that Todd Robertson had a gun and shot at him, and Todd Robertson said he did not have a gun.
That's cool.
And given that, given what you had found at that house that we're looking at right here, was there evidence that a firearm was used at that location?
Yes, that's correct. There was evidence of saying.
And we go back, I think, and talk to the girl Shelby Pryor again.
Yes, I believe so.
And you gather more information from her. Does she eventually, or was she hesitant initially to give any information about what she saw or what happened to you?
Yes, from what I can recall, she was. I don't know if it was because of fear. I couldn't tell you why, but yes.
And did she describe or explain what her relationship was, or how she knew Todd Robertson, like why she was with him?
And I refer to her report to see my document.
If it will refresh your memory, yes.
I don't recall her saying that she's his wife or anything like that. The relationship is friend.
Okay.
Friend again.
So it didn't appear from the information she gave me that they were, dating or had some sort of familial relationship.
Oh no.
Okay. And I believe after that, you're waiting on the ID technician to come to the scene, correct?
That's right.
Is there any other conversations with Todd Robertson or anything like that, other than letting him go?
I don't believe there are any further conversations.
Okay. And so I'm just looking at the last minute of that second file on the state's one. This is like about where Todd Robertson is allowed to go free.
Yes, I believe we were near the conclusion of everything we were going to want to see that day, and we may be explaining to him what kind of the next steps are going to be. But yes, he's out of handcuffs at this point.
There it is. Did you? Why didn't you make an arrest at that scene? Given what you knew.
I believe at the time this further investigation will probably require to make an arrest on the case. Just due to the public the statements that we received. Yes, there's evidence that something did occur, but we want to investigate that further to make sure we have accurate representation of what happened.
And you also had to let Mr. Jamal leave to go to work from the initial scene pretty quickly, right?
Yes, we got his statement from him. We got his information. I believe he may have even filled out a statement there. But yes, he was released at that time. We had his information, so we need to contact him or locate him. We would knew where to really start.
So if there's things like administrative and paperwork that needs to be completed in order for arrest to be made, like non-consent forms and other like sworn statements from the complainant, the detective would have to contact Jamal and get that completed before a case would be able to be filed.
Yes, further paperwork would be required. Typically, it would be done through a detective. At the control level, we do the initial investigation, the report, and then from there, it gets assigned to a detective in that respective area. This was a person's detective.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we haven't looked at these exhibits yet. Looking at space 7. Is this the front driveway of that house that we were just watching on the video?
Yes, it is.
So this house right here, do you have the address of that location?
Yes, the address is 3488 West Avenue. That's in Beaumont, Texas.
Okay, and
And the zip code is 77703.
okay, and is that in Jefferson County, Texas?
That's correct.
States 8, is that just another I had a broad view of the front of that house?
Yes, sir. It is.
And this driveway right here, kind of to the left of States 8 and in the middle of State 7, is that where these shell casings were found?
Yes, sir. That's the area.
And I believe there were 2 shell casings that were found on this this smooth concrete, and 1 shell casing that was found on the asphalt roadway. Is that correct?
I believe so enough that they were located in that general area of the driveway towards the edge of the street.
Okay. Now, if Todd Robertson had fired a pistol towards that Suburban as it was driving away, and he were kind of at an angle behind and to the left of that Suburban, would those shell casings potentially have ejected from his pistol if it were a semi-automatic pistol into the driveway?
Yes, most semi-automatic pistols, they do have the injection port is located on the right side, so that would indicate that the shell case is ejected from that side of the firearm.
Okay, so I guess is it fair to say there's several different positions that a shooter could be to have shot the left side of that Suburban and those shell casings to have ejected right there where the concrete meets the asphalt?
Well, the shell cases there on the asphalt would put a individual firing weapon in that general area of that truck.
Okay. Now, if we look at States 9, I don't know if you see one of the shell casings, but is that? Oh, I see. Right here, is this one of the shell casings?
Here's some.
And then I believe is this one up here?
Yes, I believe so.
And then I believe we'll see here in a minute, there's one somewhere around it here. States 10. You know what that was?
Appears to be some type of empty liquid bottle or something. Not sure.
What do you know whether that was there initially when y'all first arrived or dropped later or do you know?
I don't know.
Looking at states 11, is that one of the shell casings that was on the concrete?
Yes, it is.
And I guess when I refer to the concrete, we're talking about the driveway,
The
right?
driveway, correct.
And states exhibit 12, is that another one of the shell casings that was on the concrete driveway?
Yes.
And states exhibit 13, is that the third shell casing that was just off the concrete driveway on the asphalt roadway?
Yes.
Okay. And states exhibit 14, is that a photo of all three shell casings taken back at the police station?
Yes.
I don't. Does it look like all three are casings are from the same manufacturer, or they look like they're from different manufacturers?
I can't tell. It appears it may be from a different manufacturer. I think one says Blazer and another says Hornady. Can't sell one of the bottom, so I mean that one may say make have Hornady on it as well.
But do they all appear to be of the caliber 9mm?
Yes.
The shell casings in State Exhibit 14, are those the same shell casings that are that were collected that are here in State Exhibit 2?
Yes.
Are these casings what we call I guess forensically projectiles, or they expel projectiles?
Yes. The casings they expel the bullet on also those projectile. Yes.
And are they to expel those projectiles? Do they have to be loaded into a firearm?
Right.
And does it appear, based on what you found at the scene as well as the physical evidence, that a firearm was used in this offense?
Yes.
And so does it appear to you, based on your findings and what you observed, that a device designed, made, or adapted to expel a projectile through a barrel by using the energy generated by an explosion or burning substance, or any device readily convertible for that use, was used in this offense?
Yes.
Did you ever find the firearm that was used in this offense?
No, sir.
Do you know if the detective that investigated this, if they ever found, or he or she ever found?
I do not know.
Okay. Is there anything else that that you did in this investigation that we haven't gone through or discussed?
No, sir. I don't believe so. I don't recall doing any type of follow-up investigations in reference to this incident. I believe from here it was signed to a detective, and that included my involvement.
Your work on this case was reflected in your report, and then the body worn camera that we watched.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
The first question I have is kind of silly, but I gotta ask. You didn't see the shooting, did you?
No, sir.
And all you have to go by is what you were told and the physical evidence you observed and saw out at the scene. Is that right? Okay. And what you were told by, and the only people that told you anything were Jamal, Connor, Shelby, and Todd. Is that right?
Correct.
All right. Were there any other neighbors or witnesses ever come forward and talk about this?
Not to me personally.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. I'm only talking about what you
Yes.
saw. Okay. All right. And this did happen during the day. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when Mr. Robertson arrived back at the scene, he didn't have a gun with him, did he?
No, sir. We did not. Okay.
And Sergeant Tolley asked him, "Do you have a gun?" Right?
Yes, sir.
He said no. Okay. All right. Now this neighborhood is shots fired a uncommon, or is it more common?
It's more common than uncommon.
Okay. Yeah. And regarding compared to other neighborhoods in Beaumont, correct?
But it's not uncommon for shots to be fired in that neighborhood.
No, sir.
Okay, all right. And the bullet or the shell casings that you recovered right here, you can't tell the court when they were fired, can you?
No, I cannot say you.
All right. All right. And the bullets out of those shell casings, they were never recovered, were they?
No, sir, I don't believe so.
Okay. At least as far as your
No,
involvement.
sir, my involvement, no, sir.
Okay. And there was no gun ever recovered, correct?
No, sir.
Okay. So there's nothing actually to link Mr. Robertson with those shell casings as far as we know, correct?
As far as I know, they were located in the driveway of his residence, and that's what happened.
Okay. And that's what I'm getting at. The major link that you have, or you made, is the fact that they're in is near the road in his driveway, correct?
Correct.
Again, in a neighborhood that shootings happen.
Yes.
Correct. That's what it is.
Anything else?
Just two things. I meant to ask you this earlier, but stage 15 and 16, are these photos of Tom Robertson?
Yes,
Okay, he's fairly likely to depict him at that scene.
yes, it was.
Okay, we'll offer stage 15 and 16.
No objection, Your Honor.
Admitted.
I don't have any other questions on this witness, Judge.
Okay, is this man excused?
Please, and he has to return to Houston. So
Okay, you're excused, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
we'll call Jamal Conley. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, no. Come forward. Yeah. then we'll go on to it.
Come forward. Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
Yes.
Please have a seat back there. Thank you.
Tell us your name, sir.
Jamal Khan.
Oh boy, he's got a soft horse.
Tell you what,
Khan.
do me a favor and just scoot that up a little bit. It's a big chair I have. Jamal Connor, is that a Connor with two CONN?
CONNER, sir.
Okay. And did you want to come here today?
No, I didn't.
In fact, did we serve you with a subpoena and make you come here today?
Yes, no.
That being said, now that you are here and sworn in, are you going to tell the truth?
Yes, sir.
Do you work?
Yes, sir.
I don't want to ask you where you work. I know you're nervous. How long have you been working a full-time job in your life?
Throughout my life,
Yes.
off and on, so.
And have you had run-ins with law enforcement before and been arrested and convicted of crimes?
Yes.
Did you ever serve time in prison?
Yes, sir.
Did you make parole and work towards bettering yourself and becoming a member of, contributing member to society?
Yes, sir. I successfully completed the role in the pre-law.
Okay. And have you had any incidents with the law since?
Sir. I since yes,
Well, where you had to call in a report because someone shot at you.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you remember a particular day back in February of 2024, specifically February 24th, 2024, where you had an altercation with someone in Beaumont?
I didn't have an altercation. I was talking to a female.
I see. So tell me what you remember about everything that led up to that.
I remember talking to a female and someone coming out telling me, "You punk ass away girl before they kill me." And I didn't really think it was like that till I heard shots and I sped away.
Now, that was a house in Beaumont, right? That you were at, or
Yes,
that you were out parked in front of?
yes,
Did Where were you going? Had you was that later in the afternoon, or what? I guess roughly what time of day would that have been?
And then now the morning,
And where were you headed? Do you remember?
I was going to see Shelby the dog.
Okay. And do you know? How do you know Shelby Pryor?
I seen her like maybe a couple months before, and she said she had what to say. I thought that that would be a good place for her to stay.
Okay. Um, the place where she was at there.
Yes,
So how did you know the place where she was at? Like, how did you know of that place?
I know another guy that stayed there,
I see. So the
but at that time I didn't know it was this guy's house.
I see. So you didn't know that this defendant right here, Tom Robertson, that was his house, or that he owned it, or that was his house.
I didn't know it.
Okay, so you knew someone else that stayed there.
Yes, and,
Do you remember who that other person's first name was?
uh, I don't know their name. I just know, street name.
Okay, what's the street name of that person?
Uh, it's them.
Okay, and that so that house on West Avenue, right?
It's
Is this
stolen now.
show you? Actually, I'll put it up. If you want, you can look at the screen behind you, or the one that's right there. Looking at State's Exhibit 8. Is that the house that you're talking about that you were in front of?
Yes, sir.
And is that the house where that?
Outside.
Okay. And is that the house where Shelby stayed?
Yes.
Okay. How long were you at that house, or I guess out parked out in front of it, before something happened with the defendant, Todd Robertson?
Maybe I don't know quite know the time frame, but it was long enough for me to talk to her and know that she was all right
Okay.
at that time.
She's pretty young, isn't she?
Yes, right.
She's. Do you know a lot about her, like her past and what she's been through?
Well, so
Uh,
she just told me that she needed. She stopped. She asked me for money one day, and I took her to get something to eat. She said she needed somewhere to stay. That's how that's known.
okay. Um, so when you were talking with that girl Shelby, where were you in the like kind of in this picture here? States.
I was sitting in my truck,
Okay.
kind of a little past the concrete area on the driveway.
So if we look at state 7, are you saying you were kind of to the left over here?
No, the other side, sir.
This way?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The tail end of my truck would have been on the edge of the driveway.
Okay. And which way were you headed if you were to drive off?
Yeah.
So you were parked a little bit to the right in State's Exhibit 7, and the front of your vehicle was headed to the left.
Front of my vehicle was headed to the right.
I see. Okay, so you were parked a little bit to the right, and your vehicle was headed to the right.
I was actually illegally parked.
Okay, were you kind of just in the middle of the road?
Yeah.
These are just neighborhood streets, right? Like it's not uncommon for people to. Okay. So did Shelby see you and come out of the house?
I passed by and she was on the porch and she backed me down and I stopped.
Okay. Were you going there to check on her, or were you going there to see someone else and saw her?
I was going out to
Okay.
see her and someone else.
Okay, so there was someone else in the neighborhood that you were going to actually. Oh, at that house.
Yeah.
And was that your friend that you knew of?
Yeah.
Is and the one you said you know him as Sling.
Yeah.
Okay. Um. So how long were you talking with Shelby before Todd Robertson came out of the house, or you saw? How long were you talking with Shelby before you saw Todd Robertson?
I don't know how long I was talking to her, but I don't know how long, so but it was long enough for me to know that she said she's on her own. She's happy she has some else thing. And I told her good for her.
Okay. And when you first did see someone else, did they come out of the house, or where was the next? Who was the next person you saw, and where did they come from?
They came out of the front door with their hands behind their back. But I didn't pay it for mine until Shelby started saying, well, what's wrong? What's wrong? Todd, what's wrong, Todd?
So when that person came out of the house, Shelby appeared to kind of be concerned and I guess anxious about that person coming out. Is that fair to say?
Well, I don't know. She was just questioning what was wrong.
Okay. And was that concerning to you, or was that alarming to you?
Not at the time.
Okay. When did it become concerning or alarming to you?
When someone yelled at me and said, "Get your punk ass away from me before I kill you, bitch."
Okay. And that person that yelled that, was he still on that porch, or had he come out into the yard?
In the grass.
Okay. And that person that yelled that, did you know who that person was at the time?
Not really. I just know that that name was Todd.
And how did you know that that person's name was Todd? What happened that made you know
Shelby
that?
said, "What's wrong, Todd?"
Meaning Shelby called his name when she was speaking to him?
You know, when he came back down.
Okay. But outside of Shelby knowing his first name, did you know that person's first name before that?
No, sir.
Had you ever dealt with that person in any way before that?
No, sir.
Okay. That person that came out that house and yelled that at you, is that an individual that you now know is goes by the name of Todd Robertson?
Yes, sir.
And do you see Todd Robertson here in the court?
Yes, sir.
Can you describe something that he's wearing so that we can identify him appropriately in court?
He has eyeglasses on too.
Eyeglasses like me. What color is his clothing?
Arm.
Okay. Will the record reflect that the witnesses identified the defendant?
Yes, sir. Will.
After Todd Robertson came out of that house and started yelling at you, first of all, did you know why he was doing that?
No, sir.
Were you a little confused at first?
I thought it was a kind of prank or joke.
Okay. Now, at some point, did you, I guess, start to understand that he was not joking?
I did not understand he was joking until I started acting like, "What's wrong, man?" And I heard shots fired, and I got my ass on.
Okay. So when you heard, well, let me ask you this. Did you see that Todd Robertson have with a gun?
Yes.
What kind of gun do you?
Dark gray like you suit.
Dark gray like my suit?
I know.
And was it like what kind of mechanism did it have? Was it like a revolver or a semi-automatic, or do you know?
No, I don't think it was involved, but like it has a pull like that.
Like it has a
Single
okay, and then it's got a chamber with a single that's semi-automatic pistol.
That's what they all is.
Okay. Did it was he holding it down by his side, or was he pointing it?
I don't know how he would. His hands behind his back, saying, "Get your punk ass away, you know, bunch of bitch." And I was mad until I actually seen the thing. I tried to crank up and left, and it was before I could get inside. My motor was running, and the shots came through, man.
When you were talking to Shelby, had you turn your vehicle off?
Yes.
Okay. So once you saw the gun, you had
It was time for it over.
I believe. You have,
People wasn't playing.
in order to go, did you have to turn your vehicle on?
I had to crank my truck up.
Okay.
Put it in drive.
And then from that point, how did you get very far and drive before you heard shots?
Turned on the first street that was on west on the very first street. On west going to the right.
So if we are looking at state,
Remember that first street is to the right, so it should be the only first street there.
if this right here is the, let me get a little pointer here for you. If this right here is that house on West Avenue, did you go up to the street right here and turn right?
You got the picture wrong.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. You were pointing this way, weren't you? So you went over here and you turned right on Ives Street.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you for correcting. I don't think I had that. So you were located right here, facing this way, downwards on State Exhibit 30.
Yes, sir.
And you turned on this street right here, that's right after that house on Ives Street.
The first street that, yes.
Okay.
To keep them going straight.
Okay. Were you able to put your vehicle in drive and actually move forward before you heard shots, or were you hearing shots as you were doing it, or did you hear shots after you did it? So as you were putting your vehicle in drive and starting to move forward, you heard Todd Robertson shoot.
Move. The shots came through and then drive in and
What did you hear glass break?
was trying to get away, man.
Was that have you ever been shot at before?
No, sir.
Was that
Real messed up.
something you'll never forget?
No, I won't.
To this day, do you really understand why
No, I don't.
he shot at you?
No, I do not. But he's really messed up.
State's Exhibit 5.
If I wasn't scared to get in trouble, I would jump on his ass right now in school, man. But no, that's not right.
It wouldn't the right. It wouldn't be the right thing to do.
I don't want to turn my back.
I got you. State's 5. Are those the bullet holes in your truck?
No,
Is that your truck?
that's my truck.
It's a Chevy Suburban, right?
GMC.
Oh, GMC Suburban. Okay. Does it look like there's 3 bullet holes in that?
Yeah.
Do you remember how many shots you heard, or was it all a blur?
Once I heard the first one, that's was my cue to go.
Okay. Was Todd Robertson the only person you saw at that house that had a gun?
Yes, sir.
Was Todd Robertson the person that was yelling at you to leave?
Yes, sir.
Was Todd Robertson the person that pulled a gun and started shooting at you?
Yes, sir.
Was Todd Robertson the person that shot your truck as you were driving away?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I had to get rid of my truck because looking at it, it's going back. We had to rehash things that I don't want to go through anymore.
You've had to,
Get rid of my truck, and
but my question, I guess, is you've been dealing with the aftermath of going through this for a while.
it sounded like I kept looking at the truck and looking at him, man. I didn't even come to it.
And if I had to made you, would you have not come?
I don't want to come, so
And State's Exhibit 15, is that the same Todd Robertson that you identified here in court?
yes, sir.
Is that similar to what he looked like he was wearing the day of when he shot at you?
I don't even remember what he had on. I just remember what was pointed at me.
Okay.
So,
I think that's the only questions I have. This that's a witness. Yes, I do. This man here may have his attorney may have a few questions for you. Okay. So,
On this day, you were going over to see Shelby. Is that correct?
yes,
And why were you going to see Shelby on this day?
was helped her with somewhere to stay, and I was seeing what she already.
Okay. And you knew about this as a good place to stay, is what you said.
The guy that stayed with him, I felt like would be a good place for her
Okay.
to be tonight.
And that's at Slim.
Yes,
Okay. Did you help Slim find this place to live, or how did you know Slim lived there?
it's a store around the corner. I know Snap, and I seen him. I finally understand him.
Okay. But how did you know this was his house? Did you go over there with him?
I did not know it was his house. I assumed it was his house.
But I'm saying, how did you know Slim lived at this place? Did you go to the house with him?
Store around the corner from the house. I seen Snap at the store, and he told me where he was living.
Okay. But at some point, did you ever go over there with Slim to the house?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm getting at. You went to the house, and you knew it was could be a good place for her to stay. How big is that house? How many bedrooms? Do you know?
I've never been in here.
Okay. How many times have you been in this house before?
Before that,
Before this incident we're talking about today.
maybe once.
Okay. With Slim?
Sir,
With Slim?
to see Snap. To see Snap.
With Slim showed you at the store that I live around the corner at this house, and so you know where it was, and you went over to see Slim. Okay. Okay. And how do you know Slim?
I know Slim from back in the day, man, when I first moved to Beaumont.
Okay. But you don't know his real name.
No.
I call this. I read that you saw Mr. Robertson drive away in a silver SUV. Is that true?
He was trying to follow me after he shot at me.
Okay.
Dumbass.
So, and you saw him get in the car, or how do you know he was following you?
No, local talking to the police. That's when he stopped following me.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm trying to understand this. How long did he follow you?
He was circling the block, and I stopped to call the police.
Okay. All right.
I think he was circling the block just to see if I left.
Okay. And you knew it was him. How do you know it was him in the car?
It was him.
No, I'm saying, how did you know? Did you see him, or did you see him get in the car, or how do you know it was him in the car?
I seen him in the car.
Okay. Through the window?
His window was down.
How far did you drive away after you left this property?
To the next block, maybe the next intersection.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
No, there's a map in here. Do you have a map?
He just had one.
Oh, there it is. There it was around all things. Show you right here. Right? That's the house. Is that correct? Yes. I think. So you turned right on Ivy Street.
That's not
Rise on Quinn Street.
I guess I seen that one.
Okay. Well, that.
And I see him circling like this.
Okay. And how long did you sit at that spot there on was that I Street, Quinn Street? I'm sorry. Do you know how long you sit there before this?
All around the top of
Okay.
the house.
And then the officer, how long did it take the officer to get out there? You have to get it exactly. Was it 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour?
I flagged him down, man.
Okay, you flagged the officer down. Okay, so he was just passing by.
I called him.
Okay. Okay. I'm saying by the time you called him to when he got there, by how long was that?
Oh, I don't remember that.
Okay. And so, and during this time, you're saying that you saw Mr. Robertson keep passing, circling. Okay.
Circling like a vulture.
Okay. Okay. And you didn't think to leave and go further?
I'm waiting on.
That's what.
Anything else?
No, sir. All right.
Is this man excused?
Yes, Judge.
You're
you're asking-
excused. Thank you. Next, please.
We will rest.
State rest. What's his defense? Come forward, please, sir. And take your seat there, please. Thank you. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Lower your hand. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hey, Todd, let's just go ahead and jump right into this. This day we've been talking about, do you remember this day?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And at some point, Mr. Connor was parked in front of your house on the road. Is that right? Okay. And you heard his testimony, his story, what happened. Is that accurate of what all happened? Is it accurate what all happened, what he said?
It's not all that.
Okay. But tell us what happened. Then. Tell us what, and from your side, what happened that day.
When it started off, he come to my house for eons since my house been built.
Okay.
He did bring shit into my house. He did that.
Let's back up. Say he said he only been there one time before. That's not accurate.
That's not.
Okay.
No,
And then he had been there numerous times. Okay. Did you and him know each other?
yeah, we knew each other.
Okay. All right. So him saying that he didn't know who you were is not correct either. Okay. And then Slim, who's Slim?
That's my home.
Okay. You're your friend as well?
We lived together.
Or your roommate. He lives there with you, right? And what's his name?
His name Anthony Jones.
All right. So unlike Mr. Connor, you know who this guy is, right? Okay. And at some point, Mr. Connor brought Shelby to y'all's house, correct? And why did he bring Shelby over there?
Just like you said, she needs somewhere to stay. I told her she could stay in my house until she get up on me. And I got further for students. Let them stay in my house until they get their park cleared. They voucher to get the park.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay. And why in the past would Mr. Connor come over to your house?
He was buying drugs
Right. From whom?
from us.
From Slim? Okay. All right. So that's how you knew Slim, right? So that's how he knew Slim? Okay. He would buy drugs from Slim. Okay. On this day, do you know why he came over there?
I don't know actually why he came over there, but drugs, I guess.
Okay. All right. How long had Shelby lived with you guys at that point?
Probably about a week.
Okay, it's not a long time, just a little bit. Okay. All right. And Shelby was homeless and kind of a runaway, I guess you could say, or something like that, right? Okay.
Not a runaway, but she was home. She was doing suicide.
Okay. Okay. All right. But she didn't have a place to stay.
No.
Fine. So this day, Mr. Connors was parked out on the street. He didn't come in the house. He was just out on the street. How did you find out he was on the street? What happened? Did you look out the window?
I ain't been sitting on my front porch since 6 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
And I was finished on smoking some meat. With the winds too high. So I decided not to. So I just sit on my porch.
I show you State's Exhibit number 8. That's
That's my heat.
So that's why that was out front like that, right? You were going to use it. Okay. So he pulled up and how did the interaction go?
He sit there, told him what's up. He told me what's up. He talked to Shelby. He we actually got in an argument
About what?
about, I don't know what it was about. I could be exact myself. But we started got in an argument. And he told me we gonna fight. So I said, yeah, let's fight. So I ran down steps. He ran to his truck, got in his truck. I got on the phone.
And I said, he think I was gone. So I said, shit, let's go. And we jumped in my truck and we ran down. We went, left. We went right. We went middle.
Okay. Now, as far as his car getting shot, do you know what happened there?
I don't know what.
Do you remember seeing gunshots in his car when he was talking with you?
No, I don't even see him.
Okay. Could they have been in there before?
He
Or
could have been there before, but I really wasn't paying attention to his truck.
Oh, okay. And you heard me ask the officer earlier: is gunfire common in your neighborhood?
Then they got a house right across the field from me on the island. She's the White House. They shot this woman house up 5 times with straight lights.
Okay. So we did say there was some shell casings found in front of your house.
Yeah, they probably came.
Okay. Has there been other days where there's been shell casings out on the street and driveway and stuff?
Man, I was out one when I was, in 5 panels that this house stood strong together.
Yeah.
I was out there popping 5 panels and stuff. Matter of fact, it was the night before. I was popping 5 panels. And I guess somebody thought I was firing at them. And they went to and shoot the house around in the house, I guess.
Okay. Mr. Robertson, do you have a gun?
I don't own any kind of gun.
Okay. All right. Did you ever fire a gun that day at Mr. Robertson? That's what it is.
So how many times do you remember bullets being fired in your driveway prior to this?
My driveway, probably not my driveway, but the area around my driveway, the street, and all that there. Shoot, numerous times.
So looking at State's Exhibit 3. Do you agree with what others have identified as the house we're talking about here, right here? Is that house? Is that your house?
There's no one.
Sorry, I'm over here. I can't hear you. Either.
Yeah, that's my house.
Okay, so that's your house right there. Where are all these bullets being shot at around your house?
People just drive around shooting. They don't drive around shooting their cars. But these other little dudes, and they actually caught it one night. They'll come right there. Well, I said, they'll go to my street, West Street, a light street, street, our street, and let's see, not really lane. No, it's Pauline Street. Queen Street. And they'll shoot at the White House. It's in that field right there.
White House in the field over this way, you mean?
Yeah, right there. It's the White House in the field.
All right, so if they're on another one of those side streets shooting at that house in that field, where's those bullet shells, those casings going to be?
In the grass, on the street, in the woods.
Because you don't have any firearms, but you're familiar with them, right? You ever shot a gun? For casings to be in your driveway at your house, right there on West Avenue, you would agree whoever shot it is going to have to be right there.
Not necessarily.
Well, how far can they be?
It would be 3 feet out.
Okay, so either in your driveway or in the roadway just adjacent to it. Okay. And do you believe in coincidences?
I was a lot of things I seen one day.
Like, here's a coincidence, for example. There's 3 casings found in your driveway that are not covered up by any dirt or sediment. And there's 3 bullet holes in Jamal Connor's car or in his truck.
And
you're saying you didn't do that.
I didn't do.
And you saw that man that I made come in here explain what he saw you do to him.
To me, he was real disjointed. His whole statement was disjointed.
I use that word when I was describing it to the officer. Are you just copying what I said?
No, I'm kind of educated.
So you're saying everything he said was a lie,
Basically.
that he didn't. He came to your house and had known you for a long time.
Yeah, no, for no.
Now, how well did he know you?
He knew me for shoot, what, a year or two?
Okay. And how well did he know you? Or did he know Slim better?
I don't know because I don't think he knew Slim because they was always arguing. Like they did know each other.
Now, that house, is that your house or is that Slim's house? Okay, so you were letting Slim stay there.
Yeah.
Slim was a drug dealer.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're on probation, right? Letting a drug dealer stay at your house.
I wasn't doing no drugs, similar drugs.
Okay. Shelby Pryor. Let's cut through all the BS, if you will. She was a prostitute, wasn't she? You do know that she was a witness in a trial in this court, and that she, as a minor, was trafficked by an individual by the name of Sean Simon, who's in prison.
So you saying she was a prostitute just because she was trafficked?
She was trafficked for a prostitute.
That probably wasn't her. That probably wasn't up to her.
That's a good point. Were you doing something like that?
No, I don't do it.
Is that why Shelby was living there?
I don't know.
Was Slim doing something like that? So y'all, out of the kindness of your heart, were just letting some girl you didn't know stay there.
I do things. I kind of my heart immediately.
And do you know, or can you tell us, who shot those 3 rounds that put the casings in your driveway?
I don't know, and I can't tell you.
Okay. Everything that Jamal came and just testified to, you're telling this court that that is a lie. And so either this court is going to believe your testimony or believe Jamal's testimony. Is that fair? Now, you do agree that you and Jamal were supposed to fight. You saw him drive off, didn't you?
He drove off. He didn't drive off before I seen him get on the phone. When I seen him get on the phone, I said, we finna go get his own boss. So I told Shep, let's go. Let's go. He left and we left.
So you both left at the same time, according to what you remember.
He had to get out of my way so I can get out of my driveway.
Now, why exactly were you supposed to fight?
I don't know. It was hostile stuff that had been going on.
What does that mean?
Hostile. Hostility.
I see. So, tell me what hostile stuff was going on. Explain to me exactly.
Money.
Money? What kind of? Over what?
He owed me money.
For what?
He owed me money for some stuff I ain't got for him, shoes, and hats, and some clothes.
What other kind of operations were you running out of that house?
Someone here out of my house.
Okay. So there was a dispute over money. He owed you some. And he came, and when you came out of the house, Shelby was already out there talking to him, wasn't she? And that, just so we're clear, the girl that we saw on the video in States Exhibit 1, that's Shelby, right? And you didn't know that she has a long history of being a working girl in Sarah. You use your words. You got to say the answer.
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. And when you came out of that house, you're telling us that you did not have a gun and that Jamal lied about
I'm
that.
a homie.
Okay.
I never owned a gun. I've been out in prison.
It's fair to say that would be extremely detrimental for your parole situation if you owned a gun. So it'd be very stupid for you to own or possess a firearm. Is that fair?
Only thing I had, yes, sir. Only thing I had was a little knife.
And if you did own or possess a firearm, it would be detrimental for you to ever admit that too, wouldn't it?
So
Okay. When you walk out of that house, you do not have a firearm, you do not have a gun. Jamal was lying about that.
sure you were.
And you don't know whether Jamal had bullet holes in his truck or not when you walked out that house.
No, sir.
And when he drove off, you drove off, and that was the end of it.
Oh, you know, that's what I'm seeing for.
Okay. No other questions, Judge.
Anything else?
Nothing further on.
All right, your excuse, please. Thank you. Next, please.
Further, we rest on.
Any rebuttal?
No, sir.
Go ahead then. Any arguments?
I'll wait for him to.
Okay, you pass.
I'll,
No, I think he was waiting for.
but I'll waive.
Or-
I'll go after.
Okay, go ahead. Mr. West, on behalf of the defendant.
Your Honor, there's only one allegation in this FTR bid. It's not one where we have a lot of administrative issues or anything like that. This client apparently was doing everything he's supposed to do on probation. There's this allegation. There's a lot of I don't say weird, unusual things about this of how this Mr. Connor came about, whether he'd only been there one time or multiple times while he was there. It was all very suspicious. We know it's all drug related. There's no proof, Your Honor, that my client ever fired a weapon. They cannot link the shell cases, any bullets, or no bullets recovered, no gun was ever found, nothing to affirmatively link that. The only evidence we have is the testimony of Mr. Connor, who does not come off very believable. A lot of things he doesn't want to talk about. He tries to hedge himself and avoid saying what he was really there doing. He'd have been much more believable if he said, I was there to get drugs and we got into an argument. But he won't even say that. Whereas Mr. Robertson, even though he's on probation, was like, my roommate sold drugs. That's not a good thing for somebody on probation to say, but that's the truth. And so he wanted to tell the court the truth. He's being honest with the court. And I think when you take the two witnesses, this is a he said case. Which one is more believable? I think the evidence shows in this case that my client did not commit this offense. There's not enough there evidence to prove that. And then I would risk for this to not revoke my client's probation, continue my probation as is, and let this new charge rise or fall on its own. We still have that pending. That's coming up in the future. The court, I don't know if they have a court date on it yet, but it's supposed to be set up trial. I'll let a jury hear the evidence and decide whether he did or didn't do this. But I don't think the court has heard enough here today, based on what these witnesses have said, to reach that conclusion on it at this time.
All right, go ahead and stay.
It does track, and I do think that one is that the testimony of Mr. Connor is convincing as to whether or not someone shot at him. I think he was very clear and also very credible. And you could see just by observing his testimony and observing him testifying that he was afraid. He didn't want to be here. We forced him to be here. He did tell the truth, just like he did initially whenever he reported this. And not only that, but the physical evidence corroborates. There's 3 holes in his vehicle. There's 3 shell casings collected at the scene, State's Exhibit 2. Not only that, but Todd Robertson, both on the stand and in the initial video when he voluntarily spoke with the officers, he corroborates everything except for the part where I had a gun and shot him, because that would be wildly detrimental to his probation that he is currently on in this court, and then also his parole status, because he's not allowed to possess firearms. And so it makes complete sense that he would have that singular omission about this assault, but essentially agree with everything else that Jamal Connor said. And not only that, Judge, but the when you look at the what Mr. Connor described. So he says that he went, if we look at State's Exhibit 3, he says that he was parked right here on slightly lower and that he was headed southbound. And then if you look at State's Exhibit 7, so he would be headed, he'd be parked a little bit to the right of this driveway and headed to the right. That would be southbound. Tom Robertson comes out of the house, comes onto the lawn, has a firearm, shoots at an angle slightly behind Jamal's Suburban, 3 bullets that go into the 2 into the fender and 1 into the window. As Jamal is driving away, Jamal then accelerates and makes that first turn on Pauline Street to the right and ends up going somewhere over in this direction where he called police and waited for them. But it's not just the physical evidence, but it's also that other facts that leading up to the actual shooting are corroborated by what we have, the evidence that was collected, the photographs, and even the defendant when he made all these admissions about they were going to fight. So to me, it's just a simple situation that it would be to his own detriment beyond repair if he admitted that he had a firearm, and he will never do so, but he clearly did. And if that's the case, then he clearly committed the offense alleged in the revocation, and he should be revoked. And I'll also point out that, yes, there are no other administrative violations. He was put on probation in October of 23. It usually takes a couple of months after their first meeting with probation before they get on regular reporting and get a case officer. And so it is not surprising at all that there are not other administrative violations. He barely had any time to, fail in his probation in other ways before he shot at Jamal Connor. And I'll also point out that of the number of the things that the defendant said on the stand seem to be very akin to clear violations of his probation. I don't think that there is anything about what he described that sits well with me. And so to me, it's just a clear, this is the standard is preponderance of the evidence, and we've definitely met that burden.
All right, anything else to add? All right. Then the court is saddled with the decision here in this case of a motion to revoke unadjudicated probation. It is alleged here that the defendant intentionally or knowingly threatened Jamal Connor with imminent bodily injury and prevented their use and exhibit a deadly weapon, namely a firearm, during the commission of the assault in violation of condition 1 of the defendant's deferred adjudication order. The testimony essentially consists of the complainant and the defendant. And the complainant's testimony supports these allegations, if to be believed. The defendant's testimony negates the allegation, if to be believed. History of proof in legal cases in the method that the United States jurisprudence uses consists of witnesses, and the law is clear that one witness can carry a day if the witness is credible and it supports each of the allegations of each of the elements of the allegation. And a motion to revoke probation is is proven if a preponderance of the evidence supports the allegation. This court's always been a little careful in trying to ensure that when the proof, the allegation of a crime is used as a condition of a probation as an allegation of a probation violation, that not only preponderance of the evidence, but it's supported by beyond a reasonable doubt, which can be supported by a single person's testimony. And when two people are involved in an episode that arises to a criminal charge, then it becomes one testimony versus the other. And the law allows the fact finder to make a decision if it can be made to support finding by the preponderance of the evidence or beyond a reasonable doubt. And in this case, the more believable person is the complainant in this case. More believable. He acted immediately upon being victimized, called the police, gave a story very soon after the event. That story was supported by evidence at the scene that the police recovered. The shells, gunshot, and the that statement was repeated at this hearing as the court reads the police report. And the defendant, he denies what has happened. But this court has to determine credibility and make a choice in credibility. The defendant is a murderer. You also have been convicted, that this court is certainly aware of assault on a public servant. You pleaded true to those allegations when you pleaded guilty to a forgery, which is a crime of dishonesty. You have admitted you are admitting dishonest person by the very nature of the crime you have pleaded guilty to that you placed on probation. You are the least credible person of the two people who are contending with different stories. The complainant is more believable. And even the police in their investigation determined probable cause existed based upon the complainant's statements. In their evidence, they believe it supported probable cause to believe a crime had been committed. Thus, you were arrested for this crime. But cases in this court often are he said, she said, or he said, he said. And the court has to make a determination. Sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes the circumstances show that one person is more credible than the other in the situation. And in this case, Mr. Connor is more credible than the defendant. And this court finds that the motion to revoke unadjudicated probation should be granted. based upon beyond a reasonable doubt. All right. Now, what do we do next?
Judge, do you want argument or?
Go ahead, whatever you want to do. Let's
Judge,
do-
do you have the post-sentence report available?
the post-sentence report.
For the underlying forgery case.
I don't.
It's what probation.
Prepared, when doing the initial input.
Go ahead.
He clearly has a lot of history, Judge. He understood the risk when begging us for this chance that he really didn't deserve based on his history. Which is why we only did this if he availed himself to this elevated punishment range, because he has in sequence felony convictions. He was a habitual felon, two convictions ago, because he has 3. So this will be 4 based on this revocation. And not only that, but as you pointed out previously, he's a convicted murderer. And for those reasons alone, I would recommend something on the highest end of the punishment range. But then
On this adult criminal history, what's it showing is he was convicted in 1996 and sentenced to 18 years in prison for murder. Thereafter, in 2005, he was convicted of assault on a public servant and sentenced to 6 years in prison. Thereafter, he was convicted in 2008 of another assault on a public servant. So that's 3. Or assault. These are assaults on the public servants for which he received prison sentence, but it's 3 violent crimes.
Yes,
that he's been convicted of that are felony convictions. So yeah, he was an habitual felon.
I guess in
That's
2005.
2008.
Okay. And I mean, I think that alone justifies a sentence on the higher range of this punishment. And he understood these risks when he agreed to try and prove that he could complete his probation. He made it less than 4 months. And not only that, Judge, but then you take into account the offense that he committed that is the basis of his revocation. That bullet in the window of that car at that angle, it was not far from probably killing Jamal Khan. This could easily have been a shooting that was a murder. I mean, you're talking a matter of inches. Which, if that's the case, then I mean, it should be the maximum of the full 20.
Yeah. This is a forgery case. Okay, I know we're focused on this aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, but that's another case to be tried and to be determined at a later date. This is the forgery. It is enhanced because it's priors, but we have to remember that that's what it's the original offense, and the punishment should fit the original offense, Your Honor. I understand that it should have been habitual if it's been a if the forgery case would not have been a state jail felony, it would be a habitual. But the fact that the state jail felony moves it to a 2nd degree. So I would argue something along the lines of the lower range of punishment in light of the fact that this is a state jail felony case. The only reason we're even talking about a potential high range of punishment is because of his prior record. This offense that's the underlying basis of this revocation the court has ruled on is to be determined later. That's still pending. It's still going to be moved forward. We're still going to go to trial on that. I don't think that said he's going to give up on this. I'm sure he's going to try.
He's looking at 25 to life on that.
And he's looking at 25 life on that one. Exactly, Your Honor. So I don't think we need to go extreme on this case because if this is proved to a jury and the jury believes it and finds him guilty, then he's looking at some serious punishment. But this is not the time for that. I would argue that this is more along the lines of a state jail felony case, and I would ask the court to set punishment in light of that, Your Honor.
All criminal cases, the punishment is based on two factors: circumstances of the crime and criminal history.
Yes, absolutely, Your Honor. I'm not arguing that's not true.
He has been an habitual felon. A conviction ago.
And my argument is that if this forgery was not a state jail felony case to start with, that we would be at a habitual. But it was
again, the circumstances of the crime and criminal history. Are you saying that the circumstances of the circumstances of the allegations of a motion to revoke probation, when the motion is granted based upon that evidence, is not to be considered in determining the sentence? Of course it is. It's included. Well, it's going to be included. But what you're doing is you keep arguing this is simply a state jail felony. You want to exclude this, and you can't exclude his criminal history and the circumstances of this case, along with the evidence in a motion to revoke probation hearing. It all is part of what goes into the calculation of what a sentence should be. But that doesn't mean you have to like it.
So to argue against it, but yes, but I recognize that made my point, and I think the court understands my point.
I understand. That's well presented. There's a good defense attorney representing the client. Anything else you need to say?
No, sir.
All right, Mr. Robertson, this is your life. This is your life. Right here. You have an opportunity to be heard. And you have an opportunity to make comments here. This is your life, and the court is the one making the decision here. Various things can be done here. You can stand mute if you want and not say anything. You can certainly have your say. And this court also understands what doesn't make any sense, of course, is this court doesn't believe you just sit in your house waiting for somebody to drive up and then run out and try to kill them. I don't believe that happens. I don't believe that's you at all. Something happened here that obviously the court believes what the investigators determined is what the complainant says. Something made you angry, or a confrontation occurred, and it was handled all wrong because you obviously failed to compose yourself in whatever the heat of the moment caused. It is my opinion, the way this was, the way the bullets are, that the man could have been killed. It doesn't seem that in this court's belief that you did this, that you intended to kill him. I think your goal is you were angry at something and you fired at the car, and it was lucky that a bullet didn't ricochet and kill the man, which would have been a bad, worse than your situation. Something must have happened that caused you to lose your composure and you got angry. But it doesn't seem you were trying to kill the man. Although that could have been, but you did it. I believe the evidence shows clearly that you made a terrible decision, and you don't have a criminal history to endure bad decisions. And it has been a history of yours of bad decisions, and violence in resolving issues. And this was another bad situation that this court infers from its belief of it's weighing the stories that you lost your composure and shot at the man at the car, but it doesn't. I don't think you intended to kill him or you would have killed him. But still, that doesn't make it right and doesn't make it good. And the bullet could have ricocheted. If you weren't shooting at him, it could have ricocheted and killed him. So, what this court finds is that there is sufficient evidence granting this motion to revoke unadjudicated probation granted by preponderance of the evidence or greater, as allegation 1 has been proven true. Did you want to say anything else? Anything at all? Okay, you can stand muted. This court finds that earlier in this case you pleaded guilty to the state jail felony, punished though as though it were a second-degree felony. Voluntarily, knowingly, intelligently, there was sufficient evidence supporting the guilty plea to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. I now find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of that state jail felony of forgery of a financial instrument, but it is punished as though it were a second-degree felony. That means you are looking at no less than 2 nor more than 20 years confinement in prison, being found guilty now beyond a reasonable doubt of that underlying case. You were hereby sentenced to confinement in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice to serve a term of 15 years. And any other findings the court needs to make? I don't think so.
Not in this.
We are in recess.
Yes, Judge.